Yeah, we're getting started now. Let's see. So you may end up like coming on my side or somebody go on their side, but it's show business, you know. There's no business like show business.
Children.
Like no business I know.
Kids.
Oh yeah, there's kids. Kids and show.
All right, we should be live on Facebook and ready to go from the Festival of Books.
Okay. Well, I'm actually gonna change my sound. Okay, let's see. Can you hear me now? Uh-oh.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Oh, sorry for the delay. I got my time. My time's all wrong because I'm out in West River now. And so I thought I was an hour early, and here I'm just rolling in right at the same time we're supposed to be getting started. So, but I have today some incredible, I can tell by the look on their eyes and the way their eyebrows go up and down like that, that some kids here, and they're all readers, and they've been reading a book called Tales of Despereaux. And in that, we're going to be talking about that book, but we're also going to be talking about the impact of reading on young people, especially the kind of wild young people, you know, that have all kinds of interesting thoughts and things that they want to do. And you can see some of them, and I think you'll see, look, there's a wild one there. Okay, now, I think, you know, one good thing to do is to maybe go around the room, and you guys, they have their teachers behind them with the tasers in case they say something wrong. They have their teachers here, and so we're going to be introducing everybody. I think that's the first thing to do to get started. So we're gonna start with was it Sawyer? Okay. See, that's the only name I'm going to remember, and I'll probably forget that in 5 minutes. But okay, so let's start with Sawyer, and then you introduce yourselves, and then raise your hand so the folks in their living rooms can know who you are, and then we'll introduce the teachers, and then we'll get started in our conversation. Oh, and also the librarian. So
Lawrence, can
Yes.
you flip your camera so that we can see the kids online? We can't see the kids. We only see
oh,
you.
there. Oh, look on the left, down. Oh, I can see them. They're in the Sturgis Elementary School.
I think once we start.
Oh, there they are. Okay, we got them. So once they start talking, they'll pop up. Got them now.
You up in the top.
Okay. Oh, you have to start talking.
Yep.
And you saw the ghostly Heidi
Yes.
kind of like moving in and
Back
out.
here quickly.
Okay, there we go. Look at that, just like magic. Okay, so let's start with Sawyer. And Sawyer, raise your hand, and each person tell your name. You only have to say your first name. Next. Okay, can you wait? Hold on a second. Can you guys hear them?
Nope.
Oh, they can't hear you. Their mic is off. I don't know if their audio. Okay, try again. Try again, Sawyer.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Oh, okay.
Sawyer.
Okay.
My name is Sophie. My name is
And we may get a little feedback because we got 2 mics in here.
My name is Bailey.
Okay, next.
Okay, did all the kids go?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Andrea Williams. I am a 3rd grade teacher with our students here today.
And I'm Kelly Stegner, also a 3rd grade teacher.
And I'm Heidi Cruz. I'm the district librarian.
Okay, great. Let's start off with a question about the book that you're reading, Tales of Despereaux. Who wants to tell us what that book is about? Okay.
So Tales of Despereaux is about a little mouse, about a lot more rats, and a little girl named Miggery. You can call her Midge. There's this castle, and they went through a lot about it, and just a really good book.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to add? Go ahead.
There's this rat named Roscuro, and he killed the queen.
What?
Remember? Oh, he poisoned.
What?
He accidentally dropped into the soup after he snuck out of the dungeon, and the queen really loved soup, so she was eating it. And then she basically had a heart attack because she saw a rat in her soup. Her last words was, "There is a rat in my soup." And then it was hard on the king, so he abandoned soup bowls and kettles. Yes, kettles too, and spoons. Horrible.
Wow. How come they just didn't put the rat in the soup, keep cooking it?
Because they already cooked, and they captured the rat, and they said, "Find that rat and kill it."
Wow. That sounds like an exciting story.
The same rat also hid the pea in the dungeon, and then somehow Despereaux got out of the dungeon because he got punished, gone to the dungeon because he broke a lot of rules, that the sacred mice rules. So basically, and then he came out, and the cook saw him, then chopped his tail off. No, Miggery sewed it. Oh, I thought the cook did. It was Miggery's home. Well, I wasn't there for that part. And it was so hard on tail.
So let me ask you, did you guys learn any new words in that book? Like words that you didn't know? Yeah. What words did you know? Like, yeah.
Gore.
Door?
Gore.
G-O-R-E? What does that mean?
I don't know. Probably like.
Oh, there was a new word, but you didn't know what it meant. Oh, interesting. How would you learn what that word means? Because it's kind of hard to know what the story is about if you don't know the word, right? So how would you learn what that word means?
I would probably look it up.
Look it up? And where would you look that up? Where?
Google.
On Google. You look it up on Google. Okay. Yes, Sawyer?
I think it was started with a P and might be Percy or Percy.
Perfidy.
Perfidy. I don't know what that means.
Oh. And how would you find out?
Well, it said you'd probably know in the book. You should go look it up in the dictionary. It said in the book, but I still didn't know. So basically, I know. I just don't know.
So I think that's a very good take home. In other words, that's a very good thing to pay attention to. In every new book that you get, there's likely to be some words you don't know. In fact, if there are no words that you don't know, probably it could be a boring book, because you're always learning new things. New things, probably new words are involved, right? So don't miss a chance to learn some new words, because you'll find that they're more than just that book. You can start using that word every day. That can be part of your vocabulary. But now, what grade are you guys in? Like 8th or 9th?
Third.
You're all third? All third. And you in 4th? Oh, so you're old.
The oldest out of all of us, except for the teacher.
Oldish. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your experience in reading. When did you guys start reading? Yes.
First grade.
First grade?
I started reading the time like the summer between kindergarten and preschool.
Between kindergarten and preschool. Anyone else remember when you started reading?
Preschool.
Hmm?
Preschool probably.
Preschool? Okay.
Probably about preschool.
And what?
About probably preschool.
About preschool. So you started learning a long time ago, right? Now, do you remember what your experience was when you first started reading? Was it hard? Was it fun? Yeah, sorry.
Or pretty much me, it was pretty easy when I started. Yeah.
It was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
When I first read, it was kind of easy.
Say that again.
It was kind of easy to read for me.
I'm old, so you have to speak up.
It was easy for me to read.
It was easy for you to read. Okay. Anyone else? What was your experience like? Anybody else remember? What it was like?
Well, it pretty much felt like when I first saw the book, I was just like, I knew it. I knew how to. I pretty much understand it as soon as my mom like taught me how.
Your mom taught you how. Mm. Did your mom read to you before you could read?
Well, actually, my dad read to me. Pretty much, I think.
Okay. Your dad read to you? Who else? Can you remember if your parents read to you?
Yeah.
Yes.
My parents read to me a lot.
Yeah.
My mom and dad did read a lot to me when I was young.
Yeah, good. How about you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of things did they read to you?
Just like picture books, but now I read big chapter books like this thick.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now what they read to me is these books called Hank the Cow Dog.
The what?
Hank the Cow Dog.
Oh, what is that about?
It's just about this dog who thinks he's pretty tough, but not really. And then he goes through a lot of things. The latest one that we've read is about a bear got loose in Texas. Well, he lives in Texas. So basically, then it gets in their house, they go out the back door, they get themselves mucked in the truck. Basically, it's just pretty funny.
Adventures.
Okay. What kind of books do you guys like to read? Yes.
Bone chillers.
What?
Bone chillers.
Bone chillers? It's like scary books. Like, like, do you have dreams at night? So it's like just your bones are just chilled in the daytime, but then at night they go back to regular temperature. Yes.
I read this Ava and Kara Detective Agency. That's this thick.
Mystery.
Ooh. So you like to read thick books? What now? There are different kinds of books. There are fiction books, there are nonfiction books, there are adventure books, love stories. They have all kinds of books. What kind of books do you guys like to read?
Chapter books.
Chapter books. What do you mean by a chapter book? Yes.
It's thick. Like they're usually pretty thick, and they have chapters like chapter 1, 2, the dragon layer. Chapter 2, the knight. Chapter 3, the big fight.
So I'm
What-
hearing
what-
fantasy from you, and I'm hearing mystery from you. So what types of chapter books do you like?
I like fantasy chapter.
Fantasy?
books.
Kind of figured with the dragon layer. Yep.
Yeah, I kind of like fantasy too.
Fantasy.
I like all types. I don't care what chapter books I read. I just want to read chapter books.
Yeah.
So tell me about this chapter books. I never had that experience. I more like read magazine articles. So like, okay, what's fun about chapter books? Yes.
They're like, so for Tales of Despereaux, there's like different slots for like better parts of the story. There's like 4 books and 1 book all, so it's like bigger, and then it's like different slots to make it
cool.
So it's like the story is organized for you.
Kind of.
Kind of. Okay, yes.
It's chapter books are like fun because like when you like get like chapters done and you want to take a break, you can just save for another day and you can just do it over and over.
Kind of some natural stopping points, right?
Okay. Let me ask the audience, our esteemed guests, can you guys hear okay what the kids are saying? Anybody? Benny?
It's pretty good. Some of them are
She's not.
far from the mic, but it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, as long as we don't want to miss all this good information they're giving us here. Okay, so let's bring in the teachers now. They can put down their sticks and tasers. So tell us about your experience in teaching young people reading. What are some of the challenges that you have?
So before I taught third grade, I taught first grade for a long time. And when you're first starting to learn how to read, we talk about good fit books and how it's important to find books that are maybe simple for us to read, but not too easy, and definitely books that aren't too hard. And then we have to also find books that we're interested in, right? So at first we're really working with sight words, like working on decoding skills and really learning how to break apart words so that we can blend them together and actually read. And by the time we get to third grade, we're no longer really learning how to read, we're beginning to learn. So we kind of get to develop this fun new love of reading where we get to pick books that we really love, and we get to talk about connections and problems and solutions, and things like that. So that's been kind of a fun switch for us.
So since you guys are now switching, how does that feel? How does that feel different? Learning to read and now reading to learn. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. So who wants to talk about that? Yes, Sawyer.
So in books, sometimes you can learn from reading books, but before you do that, you have to learn to read.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, then there's other books. Once you learn to read, there's books, just fantasy books that don't really give you any. You don't learn anything from them. Pretty much. But then the biographies.
Biographies. Yeah. Biographies. Yeah.
They actually you're learning about someone who lived, and they were pretty important.
Okay, good. Anyone else have an experience with that? Yes. What was your name again, dear? Sophie. Yeah.
In second grade, we read this book about Abraham Lincoln. It taught us about his life and how it was for him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody in here read science books? Yeah. Okay. Who reads science books? Okay. What was your name again, dear? Ava, tell us about your science reading.
Well, like science books, you get to kind of learn like the way of how things work in science. So that's kind of cool to do.
Okay. What kind of things have you learned recently about science things?
About kind of like I don't know how to explain it really, but how I can't think what the word is right now. Like the periodic table of elements.
Oh, chemistry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're learning about and you're in the third grade and you're learning about the periodic table?
And fourth.
Oh, that's right. You're the old girl. So you learned about the periodic table.
Just like kind of a little bit, not much.
Just that it exists and kind of what it's about. Yeah, okay. That's where you have to start. Good deal. Okay. What was your name again?
Andrea.
Andrew.
Yes.
Yeah, Andrew Williams. Another old teacher. Older than even Ava. So tell us about your teaching experience. What are some of the challenges that you've had in becoming not just a teacher, but a better teacher? What are the kind of things you learn about how to teach?
Yeah, third grade is kind of a unique grade because, as Kelly mentioned, most of the kids by third grade have learned to read. So you have kind of that ability to kind of dive into deeper things with more information. Along with that comes some challenges though. There are a lot of kids that unfortunately don't have a reading background. They come to school with not a lot of time having spent being read to. Not a lot of families prioritize reading as much as maybe they used to. So we kind of have seen a decrease in at-home reading. A lot of kids have tablets and technology, which they would rather do opposed to, a paper book. Kids are really busy now these days. There's a lot of sports and activities. Our kids are really kind of overscheduled anymore. So you see a lot less reading outside of school. So I think in school, you're kind of trying to make up for that. You're trying to prioritize the amount of time that you have in your school day by kind of fostering that love of reading. So we do read alouds, where everybody is involved in the same book. We also do some small groups where a small group of kids has a certain book. We've got a reading curriculum that has small books printed in a textbook. So you're really trying to prioritize on the amount of time that you're given in a school day to do, the best that you can.
Right. Now, one of the things I noticed about young people is they will read if they like what they're reading.
Absolutely.
Right? If it's something that's interesting to them, and I noticed that the first time I actually had data on it was when the Harry Potter books came out. Before that, there was a common understanding that boys don't like to read. Then there was Harry Potter, and then all the boys were reading these huge tome books. Nobody ever had to push them and say, do your homework, read that Harry Potter book. Nobody had to say that. Suddenly, all these boys who were supposed to hate reading were reading. How do you find books that are useful to young people and also are interesting? There's over 1 million books a year put out, right? Many of them are children's books.
Mm-hmm.
They're all over the place in terms of what they're about. How do you find books to even suggest?
Probably maybe go to the library.
So how does a librarian find books to put in your library so that it would encourage young people to read?
Well, I'm going to go back to your comments about Harry Potter, and J.K. Rowling, when she was trying to get that book published, was rejected over and over and over for exactly what you just were speaking about, the fact they were too thick, they were too long, no kid is going to read this. Finally, the daughter of one of these agents or editors picked it up and read it and said, you have to get this published because I want to know what happens next. And that's the only way those books ever came into being. And I think that's something that Kate DiCamillo does really well too, is she doesn't look at kids as not enough or not smart enough or these topics are too complex. She just trusts that they're intelligent, and she writes that way. She's not afraid to throw in big words. I teach the Bacon Valley books that Kate also wrote, and she throws in huge words there, and she comments on it like, you should go look this up, and this is a great word. So I think she just empowers kids and does a really good job of that. And I think J.K. Rowling did that as well by just trusting that these can be really long books and kids are going to read them. So my job is in 6 libraries across the district, and I do all the book reading. So I get to spend thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars a year on books. And that's my favorite, one of my favorite parts of my job is that I get to go and I get to read those reviews. And I really do read reviews a lot from kids because that's who I have to sell them to once they come into my library. So I try to take that into account. I also keep a running list in every one of my schools of books that kids request that we don't have because they know, and they know what they like to read. And guess what? They are fantastic at telling each other. I always think it's really interesting when a teacher is reading a book series or an author. Suddenly, I can't keep those books on my shelf anymore. And the same thing, we get a group of kids that start reading a certain series, and then suddenly I've got a wait list for 2 and 3 and 4 because they're talking amongst each other about it. So it's a multifaceted approach.
Mhm. I like to hear from Sophie, right? Sophie, tell me about how you would suggest to adults, whether they're teachers, your parents, the librarian, weird people, how would you suggest that they choose a book for you?
Well, some books are amazing. You can learn stuff from it. You can learn some books you can learn how to count money and stuff. You can also learn about fiction, nonfiction, science stuff, and historical stuff. Like I Survived. I love those series because they actually really occurred. And those were some of the worst disasters in history.
So what would you, if you were going to talk to an adult and try to have them, because they're the ones with the big bucks, so they're going and buy the books. Some people have even tens of thousands of dollars to buy books, So, so how would you advise them if you're suddenly the advisor, the book advisor? How would you help them? There's millions of these books. What would you tell them to look for you?
I would ask them to look up for detective books, like the Eva and Carol Detective Agency, 3 books in one. It shows about 2 girls solve mysteries. I'm almost done with the first book and I'll be on to the next one.
Okay. Anyone else have any advice for old people? Older than Ava. Even older than Ava. How would you help them to choose books for you?
What advice would you give me? If you wanted a certain book, what advice would you give me?
Yeah, maybe not even a certain book because maybe you don't even know that book exists, right? But if you say, look, I really would like a book on, could you find blah, blah, blah? What would you say?
I would probably say the Tale of Despereaux kind of books, like that kind of books, and like the Bone Chiller, and those kind of books.
Okay. It's interesting you mentioned bone chillers because right now I'm involved in a let's say a show that's Chinese and Japanese ghost stories, right? So we're putting together actually a performance. There are some musicians, and then I'm reading these Chinese and Japanese ghost stories. And we were going to perform it in front of these middle schoolers, but some adults say, "Oh, that's too scary for kids." But you like bone chillers, right? Who else likes bone chillers?
It's actually the set we have in the library. It's actually a set of books called Bone Chillers, and it's ghost stories and paranormal stuff. And I will say our paranormal section is probably one of our top sections in the librabry.
Oh, the ones
What are the
with
top section?
ghost ones.
The spooky stories, yep.
Woo.
I love those. I see a lot of kids back there just talking about, you should read this book. It's pretty scary. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So you like scary, right?
No, I don't like scary.
You don't like scary.
One time I watched this movie,
Oh.
I had nightmares for a week.
Oh, really? But were you happy about the nightmares?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. You know, it's kind of like when you're a little kid and like a little baby, and then somebody throws you in the air and you go, oh, do it again. Cool. So I'm going to turn now to our esteemed panel and ask them if they have any questions that they would like to ask either the young people or the old people, older than they were. Anybody? Any questions? Sometimes it takes some of them are kind of old. It takes them a long time to figure out their questions. Oh, there's Betty. Betty's one of the younger ones. She has a question. Go ahead, Betty.
A long time. I was
you
reminded.
guys
Right
hear
up
her?
here in the green. We can't hear her though.
They can't.
Yeah, we can't hear her.
Okay, you can't hear. Can you turn up?
I'll have feedback on your end if I turn that up.
Oh, I see.
I just
Well, you
have-
shouldn't have feedback because I'm on the earphones.
Okay, well, I will try.
I am not muted. Can you hear me?
Yep.
When I was a girl in the probably middle of my elementary years, I think I discovered the Nancy Drew mystery stories. And I was reminded of those when I think it may have been Sophie was talking about a series that I don't know about because I haven't been spending enough time in the children's reading section for a long time. I just wondered if you children are aware of the Nancy Drew stories. My niece still has the ones she collected when she was a young girl, and now she's about a 50-year-old mother. So, I hope you're still enjoying those. Thank you for doing
This is the librarian. They're actually rebranding those. And so they're putting new covers and they're going to be re-releasing those with new covers. And they're adding things like cell phones to the stories to update them for modern audience. And interesting.
Yeah.
I think I would like to see them read the old ones as well as the new ones because I bet they'd have a different feel. They would for me. And maybe that's not relevant.
Anyone else have? Yes, anyone else? They take a long time. We're trying to wake up. Okay, so let's go back to our conversation. They'll wake up eventually. After you read the books, how does it change your life? What kind of things happen as a result? Sophie?
When I read the Detective Eva and Carol Detective Agency, I never could stop reading it. It was just the best book I could read. And then I was thinking about trying to solve a few mysteries. Like my dog, how did my dog get this cone? My dog has a cone. She has an infection on her tail. I'm trying to find out how she got that infection on her tail. She got a cone.
So reading the detective books kind of gave you the idea of like putting stories together to figure out how something happened. Oh, excellent. Excellent.
I really do wonder how my dog got like this, like it's like a disease on her tail. It's like infected. It's very bad. They shaved it so they could look at it better.
Wow.
So
did you ask the dog? Where did you get that infection? Where have you been?
My work at Despereaux is that's what started that whole problem.
Yeah. So anybody else have a way that books changed you? Sorry?
One time I started this book, it's not really a bone chiller's book. It's not even scary. So this person named Leo, he got this job, but he wanted this job to be with wanted another job, like a male person to be with his friend. But instead he got this like monster and he couldn't monster job, and he basically had to fight monsters. So basically, I read this giant turtle that has tusks and furry legs, and it was just a baby, but it was already as big as this room basically. And he got it fed, he put it asleep, then he got the stuff it liked to eat and led it back to its parents.
Well, so
That was probably my favorite book out of all of them.
so how did it change you after you read that book? Did you have any like new ideas, the way you see the world, the way you interact with people, talk to people? Did you this change you?
Really liked reading it, and I just kept on reading it. But then the school year ended, so basically I pretty much forgot about those books when third grade started.
Okay, okay. Anyone else have a way that, you know, like you read a book and you thought about what happened in the book or the ideas in the book, and then you, like Sophie, she like read a detective book and then she just realized, oh, I can figure out stuff too. And maybe she's gonna start figuring out things and realize, oh, there's something that caused this. What caused it? And then maybe a way to look for how you know, or figure out your own way. Anybody find something new in the books?
I will say in third grade is when, at least in the library, we really start talking about themes and things that come out of books. And I think one of the themes that I love about, and I haven't read all 30 some of Kate DiCamillo's books, but I have read several. And I think one of her major themes is being brave even when you're scared. In fact, I think she kind of keeps telling the story, you can't be brave unless you're scared, because that's the only time you need to be brave is when you are scared. But I think that's one of the major themes. And I think that's why she's so powerful as a children's author, is because in third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, you're encountering things literally every day that you haven't done before, whether it's a new kind of math or a new text that you're reading, or there's testing coming up. And her books are kind of nice to look back on about that theme of bravery and being, you know, just tackling the problem, right?
Mm-hmm. So, Interesting. So I've often found that the way the book changes me is almost like a sequel, because I'm reading something and I'm having a new experience through that book. Okay, so maybe I've never been to Indonesia. I have, but let's say I didn't go to Indonesia, and I'm reading a book about Indonesia. So I'm learning about how they eat, what they eat. Maybe I'm learning about their streets. I'm getting a picture. If it's a certain adventure they're having, I learn something about the culture. And it may or may not make me want to go there to see for myself. Have you ever read a book that made you want to do something different or experience something?
It's different.
Can you think of any case like that? Yeah.
Who's read the Harry Potter books? Who would like to go to Hogwarts? Same.
Yeah.
Or, you know, another thing too, Sophie had mentioned a series called I Survived. And so they're written by Lauren Tarshis, and she does an immense amount of research about a historical event. You know, the sinking of the Titanic, the Twin Towers on 9/11, the volcanoes of Pompeii. I mean, all of these.
The erection of Pompeii.
Yep.
It was amazing. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of research goes into it, and then she creates characters about these guys' age who survive that event. And so maybe to the flip side of wanting to visit a place, maybe a feeling of like empathy and historical value of learning what it may have been like to experience some of those things. And there's always different cultural aspects and, you know, location indicators in there that really kind of transport you in back in time or to a different location.
I feel that's the same thing,
Mhm.
you know, having, you know, like wanting to be there, having a sense of being there, learning about it. To me, it's all kind of the same experience. Yeah, the connection between it. When you are trying to find something new in a book, when you're reading the book, do you think about, do you stop and think about what just happened in there and why did it happen? Can you tell me about some of those kind of experience where you, let's say you were reading something and then you said, oh, I wonder why that happened. Yes, so.
Okay, so there's this two of these books. There's this one called The Attacks of Pearl Harbor in the I Survived series. That was the only attack from the Germans, like the Russian guys,
Japanese.
Japanese. And then it was the Twin Towers. There were 4 planes. One hit the hexagon, and then one hit two hit the Twin Towers.
Is it the hexagon or pentagon?
Pentagon.
Oh, okay, all right.
But you made a connection between those two events, though. The fact that there were planes being used as warfare.
There was
Yeah.
4, but there was another one that was supposed to hit the White House.
Yeah. So Pearl Harbor and Twin Towers. That's a good connection.
During the attacks, the 4th plane never hit the White House building.
Yeah.
Instead, the people fought back, and instead they made it in a grassy field. They saved the White House from being destroyed.
Interesting.
I watched this movie about 9/11. It's like an hour long, and there was like episodes into it. It was amazing. I loved it, and it actually showed they saw the airplane hit.
Wow.
It's insane.
Well, now I want to ask you about how you tell your friends about a new book. Like you read a book, you're really excited. Maybe you haven't even finished it, but you're really excited about the book. What happens that you start talking about? Do you have like nerdy friends who always say, "What book are you reading?" Or how does the conversation come about? How do you get other kids interested in your books, the books you're interested in?
Well, Ava, what about Babysitter's Club?
Oh, my mom's trying to get
Talk
me
about
to it.
Babysitter's Club.
Well, it's this graphic novel, which is basically a chapter book. Just it has a lot of pictures in it, and like it's about kids that are probably a little older than me, and they have like a club where they babysit kids, and there's actually now like episodes about it.
Does that book teach you like how to babysit?
Well, not really, but it kind of shows how they like do it and what like problems can happen.
And how they show you how they solve the problems?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, good. But I'm thinking about like, you know, you're on the schoolyard or you have friends, maybe you go to your church or at the park or something like that, doing whatever kids do. You see some other children. What's the conversation about that brings up your book? How do you get them interested in your book? What do you say? Yes, sorry.
I don't really. Well, maybe if it was my friends, I wouldn't talk, but I wouldn't talk to a stranger that's at the park. If
You wouldn't come up to like the person swinging or riding their bike and say, "Hey, hold it! Tell me about this book."
I wouldn't do
You
that.
wouldn't.
I'd be like, hey, want to learn about my book? But I would say like, I really like this book I'm reading. I think you might be interested in it too. Let me tell you about it a little bit.
Okay, good. Do you guys have any ways that you talk to your friends about books? Because I'm hearing from the librarian that you guys are we call them vectors. You take books and you talk about the books to your friends. Then I'm just wondering, how does that happen? Because like Sawyer said, he doesn't just say, hold it, gotta tell you about this book, you know? So what happened? Yes.
So what I think is that, so what I tell someone about this book and they really like it, then they know another person that might really like it, then they know someone, and it just keeps on happening. That's how the books get popular.
Oh, kind of like COVID, right?
Yeah.
you touch people and they like to read your book, but they're sneezing now, right?
You just ask them, you're going to care. Do you want to? I think you would be interested in this book. So, and then they started to find people, their friends keep on finding people around it, and that's how they get popular, so popular.
Cool. Now, do you have anything that you would like to ask the librarian or the teacher or me about books? Because all of us are older than Ava. But so either Ava, you might have some ideas, things that maybe you want to ask, but you know, they just never came up. Yeah. Anybody? Yes.
So how many books are in the library?
Oh, I have to run a report, but I can get that number for you.
I'm actually really wondering that.
But I'll bet you there's a lot.
Lots and lots and lots.
Yeah, probably over 1,000.
Yeah.
3,500.
I will report back to you before the end of the day.
Okay.
Wow, that's
Good. Good. There are a lot of books in the library.
So
Any other questions?
I was wondering,
Mhm.
during the summer, do you get new books?
We do sometimes get new books, yeah?
Okay, here's a real question I'm wondering. During the summer, when you have every single book, when the kids don't read them,
Mhm.
how many do you have at that time?
So I have to run a report to know for sure, but our shelves are very full. Very full. We have some book checked out.
Can you also get some more of like those ghost stories?
I always buy more ghost stories because you guys just read so many of them.
And then they're all done.
And then they're all done. So I promise, October I usually do an order, so I will get more ghost stories.
My parents are gone for Vegas this 28th.
So now one of the last questions, because our session here is almost over. It goes to about 9:30 your time. Or is it?
10:30 our time.
Oh yeah. I'm still tripping on the times. How many books have you read? Yeah.
Over 500.
Over 500.
1,000.
Yeah.
I've read like so many books.
Wow. How many years? Infinite. Yeah.
I read 1,000 books before kindergarten. There's this thing at the library that each book you read, you colored a thing, and that's basic. And so basically, I really like reading, and I probably read over like 2,000, 3,000 some books now.
Wow. Yeah, Sophie?
I just got my library card for the library, for the public library, and now I can check out books there. Like, I don't have to go to the kids section and buy out books, and I'm trying to find like historical knowledge for me, so I can learn about history. And there's this RG, a lot of people buy very few books. By the high school game, by the high school, they finished. I wonder if they found any dinosaur bones.
Oh, wow. Did you ever find any dinosaur bones?
I wish.
You wish.
We're trying to dig for some, but we only find chalk rock.
I tried to find some one time, and all I found was like chicken bones.
Yeah, right.
It's just no, they're kind of like dinosaurs, but not really.
Actually, if you actually have some birds, if you want a bird, they're descendants of the dinosaurs.
Oh, yes.
Kill a chicken, bury it, got a dinosaur.
Yes. But
Bury it alive.
maybe in the back of Colonel Sanders, there's a whole bunch. Okay, so last question. Do you guys read anything else beside books? Yes.
I read words on my tablet.
Okay, you read what?
I read words on my iPad.
Words. Okay. Anybody else? Anything else you read besides books? Newspapers? Okay. What kind of newspapers?
Like about farm and like what's going on.
Okay, good. Anybody else, Sawyer?
Sometimes there's these like magazines that are like pretty thick, and there's these things that I just look through them. Then I read what it is, and that's pretty much all that I read besides books.
Okay, yeah.
Sometimes I read magazines, and like there's this magazine, it's highlights, and it's for kids, and it tells you like some recipes and fun crafts too.
Do you ever cook any of those recipes?
I have before, but sometimes I don't really want to.
You just read, see what they're like. Yeah, did you have a question? Something else you read? Yes, so
I can't read newspapers because I live in the forest.
you're not what?
I can't read newspapers because I live in the forest.
You live in the forest? There's no newspapers in the forest?
No.
You mean they cut all those trees down to make newspapers, but then they don't bring the newspapers back to you? Man, that's,
Like they don't deliver
They
it
don't deliver it
in their
there.
area.
oh, they don't deliver and, oh, okay.
I'm not supposed to go to the school. I'm supposed to go to Deadwood.
Oh, okay.
Did you know
Anyone
that
else?
the Library has newspapers too.
Anyone else have something else they read beside newspapers?
Who's
I mean,
excited to
beside
see
books?
Kate DiCamillo tomorrow?
Me, only me.
What?
No, I'm excited. You
No.
aren't.
She said who's excited to meet the author tomorrow.
Oh, yes, the
Yeah.
author, yes, that's gonna be fun. Well, I hope you guys enjoy going to the book festival. There's lots of things.
We get out at 1 o'clock. Yes.
Yes, and then you'll have lots of things to see, lots of books and interesting people. Some of them strange, but most of them are cool. Yeah. Okay. Thank you the teachers, did you have anything else you would like to add to our conversation?
Just thank you for coming and spreading more awareness about the importance of books, and we're really excited to be going tomorrow.
Okay. How about you guys? Anything else you want to?
It's amazing. Read. I love books. Okay, grab 1,000 books, and then you can grab so many. Grab them buy 1,000 books from the bookstore. Yay! Nighttime, we feel the book moon.
Okay. Well, you guys are well on your way to an exciting life because books will bring lots of excitement. It's kind of like a doorway. You open it up and it's like a whole other world on the other side. So thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your ideas with us. And maybe I'll see you around at the book fair.
Bye.
See you, everybody. Thank you for coming. Okay.
Do you think we could take a picture with you?
Yeah.
Sure,
Would that be
but I'll tell you that sometimes I don't develop.